Hello and a warm welcome to St George's Anglican Church, Paris, for this short reflection as we begin Lent. I'm really looking forward to seeing you at the chaplaincy apéro on Shrove Tuesday evening. Shrove Tuesday, of course, traditionally was far more about absolution, shriving, than it ever was about clearing out the butter, sugar and eggs from our larders. But it's a good place to start to notice the movement this week between the Gospel of the Transfiguration, offering us, if you like, a vision of what's possible for us as created beings to be transfigured by the divine light. Inevitably, that's going to result in us recognising the gap between what's on offer and where we are, leading us to contrition, repentance, a transformation of life through absolution, enabling us with the grace of God to go into combat during Lent, if you like, in order that we might celebrate the victory of Christ over death and sin at Easter time. The collect for Ash Wednesday speaks of our desire that God create and make in us new and contrite hearts. Contrition, from the Latin, means literally that we are rubbed in the earth, and it recognises the very real brokenness of human sin. Living sinfully, recognising the pervasive power of sin over our priorities, even the way in which sorrow for sin can become ritualized and less than truly heartfelt. It's that less than truly heartfelt sorrow for sin that Jesus was condemning in the Pharisees. It's hearts, not garments, not torn garments that God is after. It's one of the tasks of the Eucharist on Sunday. It is to enable us to feel contrition, and then after that contrition to move to a place of praise and wonder and the glory of God. One of the criticisms sometimes levelled at the Book of Common Prayer is that it's too often stuck in feeling sorrow for sin rather than in moving to praise, and there are times when you can see the value of that criticism. But then that's a problem for all sorts of religion and all sorts of religions. It's the selfish tendency to remain with human weakness, human brokenness, which in the end isn't just psychologically harmful, spiritually selfish, it's also a form of violence, a violence against self that almost inevitably turns outwards into violence against others. However, in the prayer of humble access, Cranmer points us to a healing remedy. The prayer of humble access comes in Cranmer's original version just before we receive Holy Communion, and, if you like, replaces the priest's private prayer with a prayer said by priest and people together. We do not presume to come to this thy table, O merciful Lord, trusting in our own righteousness, but in thy manifold and great mercies. We are not worthy so much as to gather up the crumbs under thy table, but thou art the same Lord, whose property is always to have mercy. Grant us therefore, gracious Lord, so to eat the flesh of thy dear Son Jesus Christ, and to drink his blood, that our sinful bodies may be made clean by his body, and our souls washed through his most precious blood, and that we may evermore dwell in him, and he in us. Cranmer here represents it's in the nature of God to show manifold and great mercies. In giving us the Spirit to keep a good Lent, allowing us to see how far we've fallen from God's goodness without despairing of a remedy, to bring our bodies as well as our souls into a new and healthy relationship with God. God calls us, body, mind and spirit, to the keeping of a holy Lent in order that we might celebrate in body, mind and spirit the joy and the power of the resurrection at Easter. St. John Chrysostom reminds us that just as shame follows on a sin, so courage follows repentance. So, my brothers and sisters, I wish you a happy and a holy Lent. Bon courage.